Hey guys, it's Kelly. It's Monday, June 1st, and I don't know when this video is going to go up, sometime this week, but I feel like you guys should know what day it is because it's been 1 week of unrest, protests, and just raw outpouring of emotion here in the States and really around the world surrounding the death of George Floyd. And this weekend particularly, I was just feeling it so much, and I had to kind of turn inward. I really didn't want to talk about it with anybody. I was on social media, but I wasn't on it. Do you know what I mean? I wasn't posting, I wasn't active, I wasn't anything. I just had to shut it out, and I was just focusing on the news, and I just really had to feel the weight of the situation. I had to take it on. I had to process my emotion, and I had to just be inward. That is how I dealt with it. I just had to be by myself. And then some things came to me, and I just felt so, today, I knew it. It just, the clarity came to me. It's like, we need to talk about this. We need to connect, because just in the same way as when the pandemic started to happen, I just turned the camera on and talked. Not only did I feel so much better, selfish reasons, right? But I felt this incredible connection to you guys that I think we were both starved for. And so I'm starved for connection now. I've turned inwards. I felt the weight, and now I have to share, and I want to discuss. And I'm gonna do that. So tonight I'm gonna do my skincare routine. It's really not about the products. It's about having a conversation. Tonight's video, by the way, 100% of the AdSense money this video makes for the entire month of June is going to be donated to the NAACP. This is an organization that empowers Black communities and ensures that democracy works for all. So I know so many of us are struggling right now. We want to do something. Maybe we can't show up to the protests. Maybe that we're not called to do that. We want to donate, but finances are tight right now for so many people. This is a way that you can do that. Even if you've donated and you feel like you haven't done enough, just turn off the ad blockers, watch the ads. This is one way that we can contribute and be of service. It's a small way, but it is a help. And before we get started, I just want to ask that any comments that are made on this video directed to me or to anybody else that is commenting, that those comments are made with kindness and respect. I 100% encourage discussion on this issue, but I have to ask that it is kept respectful and peaceful, because that really is the only way that we're going to move this discussion forward, is if we treat each other with respect. So I double cleansed my skin, and now I'm just putting on a couple layers of the Keep Cool and Soothe Bamboo Toner just to rehydrate my skin. So let's get into it. So this is just really hard. This is really hard. A lot of us are still really processing incredibly raw emotions. And I know so many of us have been shaken by the pandemic. We have been shaken to our core. And I know that this has been felt around the world, but particularly Americans right now, we are feeling very battered. This has been a rough year, and it's tough. And it becomes even tougher when you realize that, like, this happens all the time in this country. This happens all the time. Another Black man gets shot. Another Black man gets killed by the police. Another Black man or Black woman, or a Black teenager gets targeted by somebody in authority. And then that person in authority is not held accountable. This happens all the time. In my time on this earth, I can tell you a lot of times that this has happened, and I can tell you how much has not changed. And when I say that this moment is really heavy to handle and it's bringing up a lot of raw emotions, what it brings up in me is a real feeling of pessimism that I have to sit with it. I have to acknowledge it. This is my true feelings. I can't judge that, but I feel a lot of pessimism around it because nothing has changed. Nothing has changed. And yet, this feels different. Does this not feel different? This feels different to me. And I don't know if it's just a very specific moment in time because of all of our battered and raw emotions around COVID. Is that the only difference here, or is there actually an energy that is going to push into the future, an energy that is going to last? Part of what I think sparks the hope in me is the amazing outpouring of support that I've been seeing on social media from a lot of influencers, from a lot of celebrities. But what really hit me personally is the support that I've seen from overseas. I am so heartwarmed to see that. As an American who has known that racism still exists, I live in one of the most segregated cities in the country. It's horrifying. Milwaukee, Wisconsin is one of the most segregated cities in the USA today. And I've grown up with the reality of that. And yet I am, sort of ignorant of what is going on in other countries when it comes to this issue, because for so long I've just sort of treated it as an American problem. I know that racism in all forms exists throughout the world. I do know that. I am very aware of that. But for some reason, you can't deny that the racism, the flavor in this country, in the United States, is quite unique. But that being said, every country has its problems, and every country has some version of this particular issue. And when I see this sparking that energy in other countries, that energy of change, to me, it's incredible, and it is incredibly eye-opening as well. It really opened up my worldview quite a bit, and I'm very thankful for that. So right now I'm using the 9 Wishes Hydra Ampule. This is a really, really hydrating and lightweight serum. I am actually going to layer another serum on top of it. Just my skin's been feeling so combination, and no serum seems to be giving my skin exactly what it needs. So I've been combining this with the iUnique Black Snail serum that is nice and light, but it's got that nice protective moisture to it. I've seen a really big movement on social media now. I'm pretty active on Instagram, so that's, when I say social media, that's kind of the platform that I'm talking about. But I've seen a big movement to address the issue, and I feel so conflicted about this because I think it is so important to speak up. And I think that if you have any kind of following, I think that you should use it for good, for causes that are important to you, that speak to your heart. We sometimes don't realize how much power we put into the people who we follow, right? So there has been some, I'm not going to lie, like some social pressure to address the protest, to address just the issue that we are now talking about surrounding racism in this country, but also the world. And I think that backfires, though. I do think that we should make it normalized, because here's the thing. So many influencers and people are too afraid to say anything because they think that they're going to lose followers. And I'm not going to lie, I don't really care if you want to unfollow me for making this video or for what I've said on Instagram, for expressing my opinion about humanity. Then that's fine. We weren't meant to be, right? We just weren't meant to be. But I will tell you that I was nervous about making this video. I did make a post on Instagram, and I've been posting in my stories just because I feel like, do you want to hear that from me? Is it my place to say something? You follow me for skincare. Do you really want to hear me talk about this issue? And I do realize that some people use my videos as a way to escape what is happening in the world. It's a nice retreat. And so I struggled with that. But at the same time, I realized that I have a greater responsibility as a member of the human race to stand up for my fellow humans than I do to just stay on message and on brand. Not everybody feels that calling. Not everybody feels that their voice matters, and not everybody knows what to say. And I have seen a lot of social pressure to say something. I'm seeing it, especially with the big influencers. And I understand that their silence is incredibly disappointing, but I think that it backfires when we put so much pressure because we see so many insincere posts, so many like just lifeless, heartless Black Lives Matter posts. And that doesn't help anything. That does not help anything. I don't know, maybe we should think about that pressure that we're placing on these people to step up. And if they're not stepping up and just making a post isn't enough, right? Maybe that's just not enough. Then we need to, I don't know, we need to reconsider, right? The power that we give these people. So I'm just putting on some eye cream. This is the CosRx Advanced Snail Peptide Eye Cream. You know, I don't think that social media is a bad thing, by the way. I feel like this could be one of the big major reasons why this is going to be a different type of protest, a different moment in time for us than it was in 2015, than it was with Freddie Gray, than it was with Trayvon Martin. You know, it's going to be different because the power of social media right now, I mean, are we even following traditional media news outlets? I know so many of us are. I definitely read some traditional news media outlets, but quite honestly, like I don't have, like I would say, I don't have TV. Like I don't have channels, you know, like I don't have regular TV or cable TV or satellite or anything like that. All I have is a Roku, and all I watch is Netflix and Amazon Prime. You know, a lot of the news that I get is either from reading the newspaper or social media. And I'm not saying that social media is this like amazing like journalistic experience. It's not. But I have to tell you, I've been turning to a lot of the footage on Instagram lately because it's real footage of protests. It's real footage of what is actually happening on the ground. And that is invaluable because we know that traditional news media outlets have an agenda. It's going to be different. And the biggest agenda is ratings, right? If it bleeds, it leads. We take it on as just all of it as fact, but we don't always understand that some of it's been spun. And of course, that can happen on social media too, but I just feel like some of the rawness of people just filming what's happening and then just posting it, it tells a story. A lot of that allows us to make the decision for ourselves about what we're seeing. And for that, I think it's invaluable. You know, it's invaluable too because that's how this all got started, right? George Floyd's death was filmed. And I know a lot of people feel that we should not be filming that we should not be circulating it, that we should not be posting it. I personally did not watch the video because I can't stomach that type of thing, but I don't need to see it to believe it, yet some people do. And that is why this is such an important thing. It is unfortunate that some people need to see this to believe it, but some people do. Some people do, and we need to understand that. So I just applied Stradia Fortify facial oil, and then I'm going to go in with their liquid gold as well. This is kind of my barrier treatment, just keeps my skin really strong. And then I'm finally going to finish off with the Ilyun Ceramide Ado Concentrate Cream. I am struggling with some feelings of pessimism right now. The hopeful side of me, I think, is going to win out, but I am still feeling some pessimism that this movement and this momentum that we're feeling right now from the protests, from all the support coming out on social media, on all the footage that is coming out, on all the support that we're getting globally, I'm still so afraid that it's not going to be enough to keep people motivated. Because I wish that this was a case where we all protested and some crazy stuff happened and the laws got changed and the policing system got better and improved and people's hearts changed, but it's not how it happens. You can be as positive and hopeful as you want, but you know that that's not how it happens and that is not how quickly it happens. But I just feel like there's this cycle. We're stuck in this cycle of needless, police brutality, protests. The police who, commit these acts don't get held accountable. They're acquitted. And maybe there's another protest or even a full-on riot. And then nothing changes. We forget about it. And then nothing changes. And then another year passes and something else happens. And then it happens. And it's varying degrees of escalation. But it just keeps happening. It's this circle. It's a circle. It's a cycle. We keep starting here. And we keep ending up here. That's the pessimism speaking. But there's a lot of truth in that. And I am just trying to think, what is the way that we break this cycle? What is the way that we break this cycle? Because this is not the first time people have protested, and not even in your lifetime. This is not the only time that this has happened. I mean, when the riots were happening here in Milwaukee in 1967, my grandma was pregnant with my mom. Like, this is so many generations of this cycle. When are we going to break the cycle? How are we going to find another way through? And I don't know. But I'm just begging and praying and meditating and listening for that other way through. So what can we do? This is the question that I've been asking myself. What can I do? Little old me, what can I do? It never seems like enough. Beyond just making a post that says Black Lives Matter, I'm in solidarity with this movement, here are my thoughts. Beyond making this video, and talking about this subject from the heart. Beyond making the donations that I personally can, beyond making the content so that I can make even more donations. What can I do? Because I want to be of service, and I know a lot of you guys are asking the same question. So I kind of want to talk about this. This is really, this is the discussion that I want to have, because I don't want the momentum of these protests to die. These protests are still going to go on for a while, I think, but this is just the attention that we need. We need to get the eyeballs and the attention and the energy on this issue. But what are we going to do? What can we do to make a change? And so I have a couple of ideas. I really want to hear your ideas. This has got to be a collective discussion between everybody, because there are so many things that we all can do. We cannot just rely on the Black community to do this. We cannot just rely on the white community to do this. We all have to do this. We all have a stake in this. We are all responsible for this, and we all need to take action. The biggest thing that I think that you can do if you are a United States citizen, you need to vote. You need to vote. And I don't just mean in November. I don't just mean for the president. Please, 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 if you are not registered and you are of age, please register. And please show up for your local elections. Please show up for your state elections. And show up for the federal, presidential elections too. We put a lot of emphasis on the president. We put a lot of emphasis on the highest office and the federal government. We only care about that. And yet the decisions that are being made at our city, town, and state levels are what affect us the most. This is what affects how the police act in your city. This is how this happens. This is how the response to the protesters is coming from the mayors and from the state governors. You have to be politically active, please. I know sometimes the choices don't seem good enough, but you got to pick the best one out of the worst one. And if you don't like the choices, run for office yourself. Or find somebody that you think is excellent, but don't just sit back and let democracy happen for you. You have to be involved. Look, I feel incredibly jaded after the last election when I got real slapped in the face and I realized what the Electoral College actually does. I mean, I knew what it did, but I didn't know the damage that it could do. But that doesn't mean that you need to opt out of the system. Change is only going to occur if we make a change, and we need to change our leadership. The number 2 thing that I wrote down of what can we do is we need to question everything and everyone. We need to be asking questions. We need to be questioning what we're seeing, what we're hearing, what we're consuming. And really, it starts with our family and friends, with the people that coworkers, with the people that we are interacting with the most. We have to ask why. We have to ask what's going on, because, at the next family gathering, when one of your family members says something kind of racist, kind of prejudiced, kind of off color, don't just shrug it off. Don't just ignore it. Don't just go and then kind of like do a glance to your sort of supportive cousin or aunt or something. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't do that behavior, because you're complicit when you don't question. Ask them respectfully, right? Respectfully. Why do you say that? I'm interested to learn more about why you think that. Can you elaborate? I don't mean to shame them, because the thing is, it's so systemic. It is so in our society. It's so ingrained in us as people. A lot of us who consider ourselves to not be racist say some things that aren't right. But we have to question that. We have to be challenged on that. The only way we're going to, A, become aware that it's an issue, and B, get better is if we know. And so we need to question each other respectfully. We need to question ourselves as well, because as non-racists, we sure can have some biases. We still have prejudices, and there's still thoughts that cross our minds we even know aren't right. We have to question ourselves too. And don't beat yourself up about it, but just learn. And if somebody does, like, I know I talked about correcting, but if somebody does try to elevate your knowledge, maybe you said something that just wasn't quite right, and they try to don't get defensive. Don't take it offensively. Just realize that they care so much about you. They want you to be better. That's what we need to do. We need to do that for each other, as well as for ourselves. Please question the media that you consume as well. The news media particularly. Just question. Everybody has an agenda, so just find out what their agenda is, right? Just know what it is, and question what you see, question what you read, think critically. Don't just mindlessly consume, but process it, process it. Just question everything around you. Number 4, educate yourself. One of the strongest connecting things that we have in the world, in our society as human beings, is storytelling. YouTube is a form of storytelling. Social media is a form of storytelling. Movies are storytelling. Books, music, art. It's all telling a story. It's all coming from a deeply human place, right? We need to consume Black stories. We need to. We can no longer live in this whitewashed world. We need to be consuming the stories of other cultures, of other races, of people who are other than us, because they're going to become less other when we do. We need to consider their viewpoints, their stories, their lives, their cultures, their struggles, their everything. Don't just rely on your one Black friend, okay? We need to consume their stories, but we cannot appropriate them. We have to take on the emotions of it so that we can better educate ourselves. We need to understand, but we can't take. And the 5th thing that I wrote down is don't stop just because the news cycle does. This is my biggest fear, as I've said a few times in this video, is that the momentum and the energy of this movement is going to stop the moment it stops being reported. And that's a shame. And a lot of us are going to drop out of it. Like, we are. I see a lot of people, I know a lot of this is just the exhaustion from the pandemic, but I see a lot of people who are asking for a return to normalcy. Like, can't we just get back to our normal lives? Like, let's just get back to normal now. But the sad fact of it is, for so many of us, going back to normal means going back to our regular lives, going back to whatever we're doing. But going back to normal for people of color in this world means going back to the injustices. It means going back to being disenfranchised. It means going back to police brutality. It means going back to being afraid to run, to exercise outside of your home, to be stopped for any reason on the street, driving, anything, to be afraid for your life when doing normal things. That is back to normal for a lot of people, and we don't realize that. So please understand that this does not stop when the news stops reporting it. This does not stop when the protests stop. This does not stop this summer. This does not stop in November. This does not stop next year. Do you understand? Like, this will never stop, and we can't stop either. We have to commit to this because it's not going to change overnight. It is not going to change in a year. It's going to take a long time, and we got to be in it for the long haul. We have to commit to doing better for each other, always. It feels good to get it out. But no, it feels good. It feels good. And I hope that this helped you process how you're feeling right now. And I just really want to encourage you guys to stick with this. Stay patient. Know that the change will come. But know that it doesn't happen in a week or in a month or in a year or in a decade or maybe even in our lifetimes. Although I'd like to think that it will happen in our lifetimes. We just can only get better little by little. And I like to think that this is the spark that ignites the fire, that good fire, that fire of deep, positive, long-lasting change. I want to believe that. And I just want you to aim to help open up people's perspectives and open up their minds. If I can ask you to do anything, that's what I would ask you to do. Is just make it one little goal, to just open up minds and perspectives, including your own. That's the end of the video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you guys for engaging with this video. Thank you for watching the ads. I am going to do an update in the beginning of July, and I will announce how much money the video has made with the donation to the NAACP. If you want to make a personal donation, please, I have a link in the info box below. You guys can go ahead and make a personal donation if it works for you to do so. So again, thank you guys so much, and please be safe and be kind, and I'll talk to you soon.